Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And we got a lot to cover this morning. We're going to start off with comments, and then, yes, of course, we've got a lot about Pam Bondi. We're going to be talking about ICE, the National Guard, the shutdown. Yes, the shutdown is still ongoing. We have quite a few things here about anti-Semitic protests. Yesterday, on the second anniversary of the October 7th terrorist attack in Israel, we'll talk about that, and some New York State updates. But let's get right to viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Pam Bondi sure ripped into many people and avoided a lot of questions at her hearing. Boy, she could be nasty. And there's a new record as gold hits over $4,000. And the government shutdown is a tit for tat as Trump ponders not giving back pay to certain people. The Dems say it's against the law. Well, we're going to cover, I don't think I'm going to cover gold prices. You pretty much covered that, Mark. But we are going to talk about Pam Bondi, and we are going to talk about the government shutdown and some of the things that are being proposed. So I do appreciate that. We have a quote of the week from Karen. We got an unofficial quote yesterday, an extra bonus quote. Today's quote, and I know I sometimes put this off, but we'll read it at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, and we'll read it at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. I think that's the new way I'm going to do it. Here we go. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Karen. Time for the official Karen's quote. This week comes once again from the very sensible and intelligent Thomas Sowell. It was said in reference to government, but I would add judges to the list of people this quote should be aimed at. Quote, again, Thomas Sowell. It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Boy, that does work perfectly, Karen, for the government, but also, as you say, the judges here. Because right now, when you look at some of these, my goodness, horrible decisions, not just when in reference to the lawfare kind of going against Trump and overturning everything he does because they believe they're more powerful than the president of the United States and the people that voted for him. But also when you look at the judges that are letting these career criminals back out on the street to create more victims, as we saw with the Ukrainian refugee and the long criminal record of the man who allegedly, I say allegedly, stabbed her to death. The list lately has been tragically very long as to these judges who just, you can't even say slap the criminal's wrist. I think that would be too strong of a punishment for what they're actually giving some of these career criminals. So I think that's a perfect quote. Karen continues, I say you can quote me, quote, without accountability, the wrongs committed will not just continue, but will increase in size and number. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it, sadly, as we mentioned on the program last week with that grieving father testifying in Washington, that there's so many victims that do not need to be victims. And the Democrats have decided that they want to side with the criminals in these hearings, if you look at it, and say things like, well, statistics are down, as they look at these grieving families who have lost a loved one. I'm sorry, the idea, and I know it's a very typical playbook for the Democrats, but to say, never mind what you're seeing, never mind what you're feeling or experiencing, look at what our bureaucratic manual of statistics say. I don't think it's a winning cause, just like with, I'd say, take, for instance, a J.B. Pritzker or Gavin Newsom, who are siding with the violent protesters over our law enforcement agents. We're going to talk about that. I thought you would find this interesting. We're going to go through a couple of updates from yesterday and Monday's program before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty of Pam Bondi and the government shutdown. And every once in a while, I throw in just a random story that I'd like to get your opinion on, and that's what I'm about to do. Okay. So a new study published in Frontiers in Political Science, so apparently a magazine or publication, Frontiers in Political Science. They found that drivers are more likely to react with hostility toward bad drivers when those drivers display bumper stickers from the opposing political party. The research shows partisan identity can escalate everyday road interactions, turning minor traffic annoyances into more hostile encounters. One of the researchers, Rachel Suzanne Torres, and Benjamin David Farrer, are quoted as saying, partisan hostility is not simply a feature of Washington, D.C. In reality, for some Americans, it could be merely a wrong turn away. Now, the study used computer-generated dash cam footage to simulate realistic driving scenarios. Participants watched videos of another car either driving smoothly or driving badly, cutting them off and forcing them to brake hard. That car displayed one of 4 options: no bumper sticker, a neutral I love my dog bumper sticker, a proud Democrat sticker, or a proud Republican sticker. After watching, participants rated how likely they would be to honk their horn at the other driver and how they felt about the driver on a scale from cold to warm. That's a weird scale. The pattern was clear. When another driver was driving well, bumper stickers had almost no effect on how participants responded. But when that same driver was driving badly, an opposing party's bumper sticker made things even worse. Now, bumper stickers, it should be noted, from someone's own party didn't reliably soften reactions to bad driving. The effect was one-sided. Out-party stickers made aggressive responses more likely, while in-party stickers did little to reduce hostility. Someone probably got paid a lot of money to do this research, and it doesn't seem to have proved anything to me. So really, if a Republican is driving and another Republican is driving badly, they're still angry. It's just that if that bad driver is a Democrat, they get a little angrier? Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all the methodology and all that, but there you go. Political bumper stickers are making traffic more dangerous. More expensive? Research done by academics. All right, yesterday we told you about country singer Zach Bryan releasing a new song, or at least pieces of a new song, that seemed to criticize ICE, seemed to criticize the way the country was headed. I had commented yesterday that it doesn't seem like a very smart, perhaps business or financial move from an industry that is, country music, kind of historically anyway, more conservative. Well, apparently there was a backlash. First of all, Kristi Noem even weighed in on it, saying that the tune is about, quote, how much Zach Bryan said the tune is about how much I love this country, okay? Noem said, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary, she was disappointed and disheartened after she listened to the short demo of the song. It's entitled Bad News, which was released on October 3rd. Noem, doing a podcast, said, I hope he understands how completely disrespectful that song is, not just to law enforcement, but to this country, to every single individual that has stood up and fought for our freedoms. He just compromised it all by putting out a podcast such as that attacks, or a product, such as that attacks individuals who are just trying to make our streets safe. I'd rather not go through the lyrics again, a lot of cuss words. I had mentioned yesterday very kind of weak rhyming patterns, and I'm not just saying that because I don't like the message. It just, I think someone put it perfectly yesterday. It's kind of like a rap country, but it's even worse than that in a way. It's just bad rhymes. Words strung together to try to, I guess, act more intelligent or more poetic in a way that just, to me, seemed pretty weak. Noem said, Zach, I didn't listen to your music. I'm happy about that today. That makes me very happy that I never gave you a single penny to enrich your lifestyle, if you truly believe what that song stands for. She mentioned other country singers like Jason Aldean, John Rich, John Party, and Kid Rock. Those guys know what it means to stand up for freedom. Glad I didn't waste any money on Zach. That's what's so special about law enforcement, Noem continued, is that they don't pick and choose who they defend when they do their jobs. They will even defend and protect people that don't respect them or stand up for them. So that's who I'll point to when I tell my grandkids to grow up like someone. I guess he must be receiving quite a bit of heat. And the reason I say that is he did release a statement. I'm not going to read that. I mean, just my friends are all degenerates, but they're all I got. The generational story of dropping the plot. That's just some of the lyrics, folks. I heard the cops came, cocky blankers, ain't they? And ICE is going to come bust down your door, try to build a house no one builds no more. But I got a telephone, kids are all scared and all alone. The brilliance of Zach Bryan. It's not even about the message at this point. Just the fact that is, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a hit. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I don't even know why I did it. It made me cringe just reading it. So he went to Instagram and he said, this shows you how divisive a narrative can be when shoved down your throats through social media. This song is about how much I love this country and everyone in it more than anything. When you hear the rest of the song, you will understand the full context that hits on both sides of the aisle. Everyone using this now as a weapon is only proving how devastatingly divided we are. We need to find our way back. So he puts out, not the full song, he puts out the most, you could say, politically charged lyrics. And then says, how dare you get so divisive? How dare you be upset? So if there is more to the song that paints this picture or paints this song in a completely different light, then that means he was just using everyone for a PR tactic. I don't think it's going to be a successful PR tactic. But now you're the one that is the problem because you're dividing the country by being upset about a song that criticizes ICE, that criticizes cops. You're the problem. We need to get back to where Mr. Zach Bryan can criticize the cops willy-nilly and not get any criticism. I mean, that's the only way I think you can read his statement. But he did continue. I serve this country. I love this country. And the song itself is about all of us coming out of this divided space. So you push a dividing message. You push a heated rhetoric in this message. And then that's supposed to prove that we're too divided. Try to wrap your mind around that for a moment. I just said something very outlandish, outrageous. How dare you get offended? You just prove how bad we are divided. It's confusing. I mean, it's almost like you're twisting yourself up into a pretzel, and that's why I wonder if he received a lot more backlash than he expected. But continuing, he said, I wasn't speaking as a politician or some greater than thou blank, just a 29-year-old who is just as confused as everyone else. To see how much blank it stirred up makes me not only embarrassed, but kind of scared. Left wing or right wing, we're all one bird and American. To be clear, I'm on neither of these radical sides. To all those disappointed in me on either side of whatever you believe in, just know I'm trying to do my best too, and we all say things that are misconstrued at times. Misconstrued. What's to be misconstrued? Then put out the full song. If there's a different message, put out the full song. Otherwise, you wanted it to be misconstrued, correct? And by the way, he throws off the idea that, well, I'm just 29 years old. What am I supposed to know? So I put this dividing rhetoric out there. I put this message out there clearly meant to inspire anger. And then you're the problem for getting angry. And I'm just 29 years old, and we've got to come together. We've got to come together as one after I just pushed a message of divide. So it must have got worse because he tweeted out later, hours later, the last few months of my life, I've been scrutinized by more people than I ever thought possible. Oh, good. Going the Jimmy Kimmel route. We've got a victim here, folks. I feel like I've tried my hardest in so many ways, and it's so hard to see where my bearings even are anymore. Been falling off a cliff while trying to grow wings at the same time. You should have used that for your song. I'm so proud to have served in a country where we can all speak freely and converse amongst each other without getting doxxed or accosted on the internet or worse. The violence and heartbreak we faced in the last few months. Godspeed, old sons. I'm out. Now, we know in the past he's had, we'll say, has been at odds with law enforcement. But again, if you read his clearly political commentary, if you read it as, I don't know, what's the word I want to look for? Not offensive, that word's used too much, but he is trying to divide with his words and only releasing parts of it, and then you're the problem for getting upset at him pushing a political message down your throat. And by the way, he's only 29, and by the way, now he's a victim because you never thought he'd get any criticism. All right. Yes, did we spend too much time on that? Yes, we did. But it's kind of a microcosm of where pop culture is at. It's kind of a microcosm of he probably thought the right group would embrace him. The cool kids on the left, which the opposite is true, of course, but the cool kids on the left would embrace him, and it turns out there's a lot more conservative fans, the real cool kids, in country music. So I just thought that was, I'm sure this this journey is not over in hearing about this song and specifically about that artist, Zach Bryan. Okay, we do got to take a break. We're going to talk about ICE. Yes, I spent too much time on that segment. But I see a lot of comments coming in. I appreciate it. A lot of waves. Keep them coming in. We're going to talk about ICE quickly. We are going to jump into a couple just quick updates from yesterday's program. And then, unfortunately, in New York City, many took to the street to protest Israel on the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th terrorist attack in Israel. Doesn't seem like good messaging to me, but we'll talk about it when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I see it all, but I'm human.
How can I keep going like this?
Who will listen to me when no one gets it?
Is there a safe space for me?
How will I handle it all?
We all have a reason. 988 can help you find it. We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988 for emotional support and crisis services. It's free, confidential, and here for you 24/7.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Tired of paying for high-priced delivery? The Liquor Factory is now offering free delivery. You heard right, free delivery to Oreen, Gang Mills, Painted Post, and Riverside. Corning, you're in luck too. Free delivery with a $25 minimum order. Call store for details. Also, don't forget their 15% case wine discount. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for weekly specials and tastings. The Liquor Factory, 285 South Hamilton Street, Gang Mills. Or call 607-937-WINE. That's 607-937-9463. The Liquor Factory, raising spirits, delivering fun in a bottle.
Dante Brown, Big Fox News, Southern Tier.
It's a season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Some viewer comments. Ridiculous. The study was a waste of time and money, purely subjective. Yes, I would agree with the bumper sticker. Two topics we spoke too much about today. The bumper sticker survey that said if someone's of a different political party, you get more upset if they're a bad driver. I'm just upset about bad drivers in general, but okay. Sometimes you don't have time to even read the bumper sticker, but whatever. And we just spent too much time on Zach Bryan. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. I'm working on my new rap song. Oh, good. This should be good. It's not my best work, but the bar is very low. Yes, we're comparing that to Zach Bryan. Here it is. If you don't want to tank, gotta listen to Frank. I like it. And I'm glad I got to read it out loud. Well, it's better than all the lyrics to Zach Bryan. I'm not going to read those again. Makes me uncomfortable. And I'm not just saying that to be critical because of the narrative of what he's saying. It's just not good. Anyway, Ken writes in, can you imagine how bad the left will melt down if they put Trump's likeness on a coin? It should be just for the year 2026 and have a new denomination worth $2.50 for America's 250th birthday. And called the MAGA. Ooh, the MAGA coin. I like that. Trump's likeness on the front with the Nobel Medal of Peace around his neck and in big letters, "Made America Great Again" on the back. I love it. That would be, well, it'd be interesting because there'd be a lot of people that collecting them and a lot of people that would probably be, I don't know, melting them down. There would definitely be a meltdown. You're right, Ken. I know the one that they originally proposed had also the words "fight, fight, fight" on it. But I like it. Hey, can I borrow a MAGA? I like that idea. I'm a little short this month. Throwing me a couple MAGAs? Thanks, Ken. I do appreciate it. There would be a meltdown. Hey, Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson, far-left mayor, he said in those ICE-free zones that there should be arrest of ICE officers. Okay, this is an update from yesterday as we talked about the ICE-free zones. The mayor is claiming that violations of his order of the ICE-free zones are a, quote, crime. And those that break that rule should be charged. It's a crime, he said. Here's the thing. Anyone who commits a crime should be charged. I mean, isn't that the basic rule of what they ostensibly refer to as law and order? What about illegal immigrants then? I mean, that's it. That's a simple response to that, right? Anyone who commits a crime should be charged, except for illegal immigrants, right? I'm so confused by that. Okay, we can't have the agents in there arresting illegal immigrants. Can't have it. So we're going to create these ICE-free zones. And if you ignore that, if you're an ICE agent and you ignore those ICE-free zones at the edict of Mayor Johnson, if you say, nope, I'm going to go there anyway, you have committed a crime trying to bring somebody in that has committed a crime. So you can't be above the law, though apparently the people that committed the crime in the first place that led ICE to be there, they can commit a crime. Was that confusing? It sure was. But those are essentially the words that Brandon Johnson is saying without saying it. Imagine standing straight-faced, just sitting there and responding that if ICE agents go to your ICE-free zone, they're committing a crime, and, quote, here's the thing, anyone who commits a crime should be charged. I mean, isn't that the basic rule of what they ostensibly refer to as law and order? Okay, so those that are attacking ICE agents are committing a crime. The illegal immigrant originally committed a crime. They're free to continue those crimes because the real focus should be on the agents going after those two groups, going into a zone that Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, has deemed ICE-free. There are some confusing words out here today, isn't there? Whether you dissect the words there of Mayor Johnson or you dissect the words of Zach Bryan, the country singer, a lot of confusion when it comes to, the lack of common sense, I guess. Speaking of ICE, a far-left University of Chicago professor, aren't they all, has been arrested and charged with violent felonies in relations to riots at an ICE facility. Associate Professor Iman Abadadi was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery to a government employee and 2 counts of resisting or obstructing peace. Just something to mention as we talk about universities and we talk about the, unfortunately, the continued growth of this radicalism on college campuses. And as I said, it's not just on college campuses. It grows from there. It starts really much younger than universities and colleges. And then it grows and grows. And now you see the protests in the street, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. All right, 2 Two quick things before we talk about the anti-Israel protests. Typical scare tactic by the media. Pete Hegseth's ultimatum triggers fears of mass exodus across the armed forces. According to The Hill, and specifically writer Ellen Mitchell, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's "My Way or the Highway" message to hundreds of generals and admirals at a summit in Virginia last week has sparked fear that some top leaders may choose to bow out of the U.S. military entirely. Well, I think you can make the argument there that if they don't want to follow orders while they're in the military, then perhaps it isn't the best place for them. Also, if you don't want to follow orders that lead to you being in better shape, being better battle ready, then again, maybe you shouldn't be in the position of general or admiral. So is that stoking fear? Is that triggering fears? Or is that the natural weeding out of the problem that Pete Hegseth and others see when it comes to the lack of warrior mentality? Don Christensen, a retired Air Force colonel and former military lawyer, who watched the speech, oh neat, what a weird way of putting that, who watched the speech, like we all did, said his speech directly attacked the values of many of the senior officers and enlisted members in the audience, and I would expect many of them to demonstrate their disgust by retiring. Okay, well, it's a week out. We haven't seen this mass exodus. But what is it that, just out of curiosity, to directly attack the values? What would you say in that speech? What values were attacked? You like your beard that much? Was it about facial hair? Was it about the fact that you don't want to be involved in so much PT or regular physical training? What are, again, I know it's The Hill, it's a biased article. That's why I'm kind of presenting this for what it is. Look inside the media that everything the Trump administration does is bad. But okay, they're going to demonstrate their disgust by retiring. Isn't that the goal? It's just like mass self-deportation. If that's the way it has to be done, that's fine when it comes to illegal immigration. If it takes that speech by Pete Hegseth saying basically be in shape, clean facial hair, what else? I can't think. Oh, I guess there was some things like the woke culture. So if the values of these generals and admirals, if their quote unquote values were that woke culture, then again, they're not in the right place for this time under the leadership of the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Now, there were two senior military leaders that left, I guess. General Thomas Basser, we mentioned him, the head of Air Force Global Strike Command, and General Brian Fenton, head of the U.S. Special Operations Command based at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. Now, if you recall, Basser said it was because of personal and family reasons. Okay, I'm not going to go through each of that. That's two. That's two people out of the hundreds. Now, maybe there's others working on it, but listen to this. His comments, because Hegseth had said during his speech, if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. Again, if woke culture is your values, then you're probably not in the right place. It even caused the New York Times to ask the question, are you quitting the military? We want to hear from you. Did they hear from anybody? Are we getting an update on this? Some Democrats are urging military leaders who disagree with Hegseth to stay where they are. Yeah, that's very much the bureaucrat idea when Trump first got in. Stay in there and try to gum up the works. I don't know. We've had enough of that. Again, focusing a long time on certain small stories. But the ultimatum triggers fears of mass exodus across armed forces. Again, we've seen two people retire. All right. And again, if woke culture is your value, then yes, I think Pete Hegseth made it pretty clear. Maybe it's time for you to go. Final one before, and yes, we are running late. Former FBI Director James Comey is going to be arraigned today. Comey is set to be arraigned on criminal charges. Trump is sought as part of a political vendetta, says CNN in their ever fair, unbiased coverage. Just, it's a political vendetta now. Couldn't be because he broke the law. It's political vendetta. No one's above the law, right? According to Mayor Brandon Johnson. Comey will appear before a federal judge in Alexandria, Virginia on Wednesday on charges of providing false statements and obstructing a congressional proceeding. He could face a maximum of 5 years in prison if convicted. Imagine putting that in there. Trump is sought as part of a political vendetta. You think they try a little too hard on some of these things to dupe their audience? It might work with CNN's audience, but try to dupe their audience into believing something that they believe, accepting their narrative. All right, I know. I've got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
That unrelenting itch. When moderate to severe eczema is uncontrolled despite treatment, get itch relief fast and skin clearance that lasts with Nemluvio blocks the signaling from IL-31, a switch that triggers key symptoms of eczema. Do not take if allergic to Nemluvio. Serious reactions may occur, some severe. Tell your doctor about any medicines you take if you experience hives or plan to receive a live vaccine. The most common side effects are headache, joint pain, hives, and muscle aches. Ask about Nemluvio today.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. So anti-Israel protesters chanted anti-Semitic slogans, specifically from the river to the sea, in New York City on the 2-year anniversary of Hamas's October 7th attack. Doesn't this prove what they were all about from the beginning? This idea that the media has pushed pro-Palestinian protests. You protest on the day of the Hamas terrorist attack, 2 years prior, the anniversary of that terrorist attack. Hundreds, it was quite a crowd, hundreds of anti-Israel protesters converged in Manhattan, screaming the anti-Semitic slogan from the river to the sea and wielding vile signs on the second anniversary of Hamas's October 7, 2023 terrorist attack. The demonstrators waved Palestinian flags and also bellowed chants of, "It is right to resist. Israel does not exist." Many carried signs that read, "Long live the Intifada." As the UN is meeting, Gaza is bleeding. And from New York to Palestine, starving people is a crime. Always the same kind of cadence. One demonstrator brought a particularly hateful homemade sign that read, "Israel has the right to go to," we'll say, heck. Others banged protest drums and called for the Intifada while holding a massive banner that read, "Glory to our martyrs." This is on the 2-year anniversary. This is not on college campuses. This is in the streets of New York City. A man carried a banner that appeared to have a jihadist flag adorned with a machine gun. Israel bombs, USA pays. How many kids did you kill today? No, didn't rhyme that great. Many of the participants covered their faces. That's what one person was trying to start to chant. That's always awkward when you try to start a chant and it's just not a good one. Many of the participants covered their faces, as is the typical anti-Semitic protest. The vitriolic protesters swarmed outside the News Corps building in Midtown, which is home to the New York Post, Fox News, and the Wall Street Journal. After nearly 2 hours of chaotic clamoring, the protesters marched up 6th Avenue carrying a massive Palestinian flag that stretched across nearly the entire city street. They blocked traffic while chanting 1, 2, 3, 4, Israel loves war and free Palestine. Okay, again, never a good idea if you want to bring people over to your cause to start a traffic jam, to keep people from getting home or to some type of a meeting or whatever, vacation, an emergency. Never a good idea. Number two, not a good idea to if you're trying to claim you're pro-Palestinian, to hold a protest on the day, the 2-year anniversary of a terrorist attack that killed so many innocent Jews and many taken hostage, to do that and then suggest you're tolerant or full of love or something. And from the river to the sea, that was the big chant. Okay, we'll talk just a second more about this in the next segment. And I know it's disheartening, but we know that cause is growing. Van Jones saying not that long ago, pre-election, that the Democrat Party is now marbled with this anti-Semitism. We're seeing that extremism, whether it's Mamdani. Mamdani took yesterday, the 2-year anniversary of the terrorist attack, to criticize Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. We'll talk about that probably later on as well. I know we are running late, but we're having a good time. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
Mars. Lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Wow, we got a lot of comments coming in right before break. We'll get to those in the next segment. Sorry I didn't get a chance to read them all, but I appreciate it. Okay, so the protests in the street, the anti-Israel protests, Leo Leibovitz says, here's a brief but sadly necessary history lesson. October 7th, 2023, Hamas marauders crossed over from Gaza into Israel, murdering more than 1,200 innocent civilians, kidnapping hundreds more, raped women, and beheaded children. Responding to the attack and striving to rescue the hostages, the Israeli Defense Forces began a limited ground operation in Gaza 6 days later on October 13th. The Israeli army then took another 2 weeks to launch its full-force assault on Hamas, which began on October 27th. And yet all over America, from Midtown Manhattan to Stanford's leafy campus, the crowd calling itself pro-Palestine chose October 7th specifically and deliberately as its day of action. Leaflets shared anywhere from social media to city lampposts showed a host of masked Hamas terrorists, fresh from the killing fields, flashing victory signs. The caption calls on supporters to show up for, quote, our martyrs. This decision speaks volumes. The thugs who took to the streets yesterday weren't supporting Gazans or mourning the loss of Palestinian lives. They were celebrating the massacre of Israeli Jews and letting Americans know that we're next in line. If that sounds alarmist, consider what an actual pro-Palestinian demonstration might have looked like. For 2 years, the pro-Palestinian camp had a 2-word list of demand: ceasefire now. When President Trump last week finally negotiated a successful ceasefire deal involving the immediate return of all hostages, Israel signed on right away. So did virtually all Arab nations. Hamas, unsurprisingly, was the sole holdout. The terror group continues to alter its list of concessions and demands. Anyone who truly wants peace, anyone serious about alleviating the suffering, ought to have protested and demanded that Hamas sign the deal right away. Instead, the loudest pro-Palestinian voices, including Representative Rashida Tlaib, blasted Trump's initiative and called on the Palestinians to reject it. It figures. The defensive operation Israel's rabid detractors are outrageously calling a genocide could have ended a long time ago. It was started by Hamas. It continues because of Hamas. It could have ended with a simple decision to free the innocents withering away in Gaza's terror tunnels, starved and tortured and denied access to medicine and food. It could have ended with Hamas surrendering, laying down its arms, and letting the rebuild of Gaza begin. It could have ended with the people of Gaza themselves demanding that the terrorists who brought on so much misery and destruction on their own people be brought to justice. Instead, we all heard from those who purport to support Palestine is more calls to punish Israel. And all we saw is more violent protests and attempts to disrupt everyday life everywhere from New York to Barcelona. Because the violence and the disruption are exactly the point. Hamas and its sycophants around the world aren't interested in peace or prosperity. They care only about destroying the infidels, a term they apply to Israelis, Americans, and anyone resisting their homicidal fantasies of world domination. That's the reason they've been targeting all American events like the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting or the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's also the reason they chose to celebrate October 7th, the date commemorating the launch of their war on Western civilization. You'd hope that, at the very least, the man likely to become New York's mayor would know better than to cheer on this demented bloodlust. Zohran Mamdani failed this simple test miserably, releasing a statement thick with terms like apartheid and occupation and calling for more sanctions against the Jewish state. We deserve better. On the ballot, in the press, in the classrooms, in the streets, we must let the goons know that the battle they picked on this day 2 years ago is one they're never going to win. And as the Post editorial board calls it, a cynical Palestine cult demanding more death and no ceasefire. It's straight out of Orwell. A movement that has claimed to advocate for peace now demands a continuation of this conflict. All across the world, pro-Palestinian groups mark the second anniversary of the terrorist attack, not with vigils or calls for peace, but for continued resistance and commemorating, quote, our martyrs. Columbia University apartheid divest praised the example of the dead Hamas leader who masterminded the terror attack. Quote, in the words of the eternal Yahya Sinwar, do not compromise on a dream that is rightfully yours. In other words, Columbia University apartheid divest urges the people of Gaza to uncompromisingly follow Sinwar into death by rejecting peace and continuing the fight. And the list can go on with this, but the claim that the war in Gaza is a genocide is a grotesque lie. Israel's tactics have minimized civilian deaths to a level never before seen in urban warfare, incurring IDF casualties as a result. There has never been a genocide in which the victims hold hostages or they could end by surrendering. Saying nothing about the peace talks between Israel and Hamas now in progress that could end the genocide he claims to care so much about, Zoran Mamadani leaps to the maximalist view, saying, quote, the occupation and apartheid must end. What apartheid is he talking about? This is a common talking point that the boycott, divestment, and sanctions crowd uses to delegitimize Israel and demand its end. Israel is among the most religiously and ethnically diverse and integrated societies in the region. Its 2 million Arab citizens enjoy the same rights and liberties as everyone else. In fact, Arab Israelis have a higher standard of living than Arabs in most Arab-majority nations. It's clear that the Free Palestinian movement is, like Hamas, indifferent to the plight of the people of Gaza, whom it pretends to cherish. These quote-unquote activists are a deranged cult that seeks revolutionary overthrow. The death of Jews and Gazans alike is just collateral as far as they care. So to take that day, the 2-year anniversary, and push this death, and remember, it's just like when we see the least tolerant among us take up the label of tolerance, it's very much the same here. The peace-loving, pro-Palestinian protesters that are calling for more death and destruction of Israel and Israelis. One other thing, because I want to get to Pam Bondi when we return, this kind of ties in because we talk about protests on college campuses, though this specifically wasn't at college campuses, but we talk about the radicalization of college campuses. A college student claims he was targeted by faculty for wearing a MAGA hat during a speech honoring Charlie Kirk. Josh Wilson, a senior who serves in the Senate for Oklahoma State University's Student Government Association, spoke during a September 10th SGA meeting shortly after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. According to comments first reported by conservative think tank, the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs, Wilson acknowledged Kirk's impact on college debate and free speech. Wilson, who also serves as president of the OSU Debate Society and previously volunteered with Turning Point USA, said Kirk's visit to campus in April provoked discussion and dialogue among countless students on this campus, and students were engaged in conversations about culture and politics like never before. So as he talked about Kirk, paid tribute to Kirk, he did wear a hat that displayed the numbers 45 and 47. He did not mention Trump or endorse a political party or candidate for election during the speech. The following week, Wilson said he was called into a meeting with Melissa Eccles, OSU coordinator of student government programs. Eccles told him that the hat violated student government's nonpartisan rules and that some people could be, and I quote, triggered by it. So not everybody got the memo on what words to use and what not to use. Quote, as a person who doesn't look like you and has not had the same lived experience as you, I have family who don't look like you who are triggered. And I'll be very candid with you, who are triggered by those hats and by that side, Eccles said. So I guess look out for somebody's feelings because you have a hat that says 45 and 47. Triggered. What an overused word. I would challenge you to ask others who don't look like you and have open conversation with anyone that has a different lived experience and see what, if anything, that might do for someone else, aside from someone who is politically aligned the same as you. This is for wearing a hat. He said, I don't like to pull that card, but if you're going to pull that card on me, I might as well. He reminded Eccles he was Cherokee heritage and regularly interacts with people from diverse backgrounds. Wilson told Eccles that he didn't believe it was harmful or partisan given the context of the speech. Any student in general should have the liberty and not show any fear of expressing their thoughts and ideas. Idea and conversation is what built this country, and that's what should maintain it. And that's what that hat was for. Eccles rejected Wilson's argument, telling him, but cannot be the end of every statement. That's not a learned lesson. It cannot just be yes, but. Cannot be every response that you give me. Otherwise, this year is going to be very difficult for you. Threatening the student because of his political beliefs. A veiled threat, but not so veiled. Unbelievable. Well, just par for the course. You got to give the young people on college campuses a lot of credit for speaking out. That do that. I don't blame anybody for not feeling comfortable speaking out on college campus because, look, the faculty, the teachers will threaten you with bad grades. Either you or your parents are paying for that education, and a lot of people choose to keep their head down. So when you see someone like a Charlie Kirk, or you see someone that stands for the beliefs of Charlie Kirk on college campuses, it's very impressive. Running late yet again. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
This isn't your father's library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
Wrongful death. After a motor vehicle crash, the words say it all, but do not begin to capture the anguish, the suffering, and the loss. It's hard not to be emotional during a time like that, but that's exactly the time when you need someone to be clear-headed, eyes open, and know exactly what has to be done to protect survivors and to get some justice. That someone will be me, William Mattar, when you call 444-4444.
Football Show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's football for everyone.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A lot of viewer comments coming in. Then we got to take another short break. I apologize, but I thought it'd be a great way to get ready to end this hour with these comments. Ken writes in, Pete Hegseth is absolutely right to expect the military to get back to being a lean, mean fighting machine. This could only happen with a military that values discipline, integrity, and honor, and is full of alpha males. Sorry, Democrats, a soldier like Rachel Levine doesn't instill fear in the hearts of our adversaries. Thank you, Ken. Another comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, and thank you for the umbrella emoji. Yes, it's a little bit rainy out there, but we need it, of course. The way I see it is we're trying to reset the crazy. For far too long, I believe more than a decade, we have allowed bad behavior and have normalized the ridiculous. I'm glad to see that our military may start to become something that resembles a force to be reckoned with and not an audition for the Nutcracker. Thank you very much. Mark writes in, number one, the pro-Palestinian protests, it's a joke that they call them that anymore. Not that Mark does, that the media does, were probably set up by the Democrats. Well, I think not even necessarily set up by the Democrats. I mean, the Democratic Party is marbled with anti-Semitism, so I'm sure there were Democrats at those protests. I don't even think they need, I don't even think they need to set these things up anymore, the Democratic Party. It's kind of interesting because, yes, there are paid protesters, but then there's the dupes that aren't getting paid. So, yeah, it could be. But I think there's just that hatred out there for Israel, and I don't think it even takes a party to mobilize it. And number two, I thought masks were outlawed in New York City. Great point. It was so watered down by the time Governor Hochul signed it in the law. It's something like they have to be in the act of committing a crime, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but I knew there was no teeth to it, so I'm sure that's why nothing came from it. Let's take our last break. I got a couple other comments to read. I'm just one of those mornings, running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today. But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Create with the 3D printer, or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
In a few words. Urkel, glasses. Nerd. It pays to know your nerds. If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show, 25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking about Pam Bondi's contentious, fiery, those are the two big words that I saw all morning, Senate hearing. We'll talk about that. A couple viewer comments first. The protesters exemplify the Democrats' ability to stand on the wrong side of an issue. Israel was attacked and has every right to defend itself. And they defend themselves not even in typical fashion. They do it with their hands kind of, at least one hand tied behind their back to keep as many people safe, as many casualties, stop as many casualties as possible from happening. So they really do it in a way to keep everything at a minimum, but just to show that force, and they still get criticized for it. But I'll continue. Just like they want to protect illegal criminals, I can only assume that most Democrats possess a proclivity towards violence and other illegal activities. And that's been a conversation that we've had, a lot of opinion pieces on that, where the real true fear of left-wing violence. And that's why Jimmy Kimmel, and they always try to downplay left-wing violence and always overhype some type of conservative violence. And that's why Jimmy Kimmel, of course, tried to lie to his viewers to confuse them to think that the Charlie Kirk assassin was MAGA, because that would help his political message. That's sad. So then when he got called out and wouldn't apologize, he then said, no, it's nothing political. So, of course, it's typical. All right, comment from a different viewer. Members of the Senate Republican Conference yesterday sent a letter to Governor Hochul urging her to issue an executive order allowing developers to continue complying with the 2020 Energy Conservation Construction Code of New York State Energy Code ahead of the implementation of the 2025 Energy Code at the end of this year. By taking this action, the governor could save New Yorkers an average of $7,500 per home, and by repealing the all-electric building mandate, those savings could rise to an additional $25,000 per household. We'll see where that goes. Thanks for sending that. The all-electric, which begins in January, mandate is going to stop a lot of businesses, small and large, from coming to New York. We know that. All right, we are out of time for this hour. How am I doing? Do I have just a second? Okay, I have just a second. On tomorrow's program, very excited about this. Kat Flint will be our guest. Kat Flint is from Addison. So to anybody tuning in from Addison and the surrounding areas, of course, you'll want to tune in. She is in Nashville, currently making her way to country music stardom. We're going to learn all about her career. She's moved out to Nashville, and she's got a new EP coming out soon. So we're going to talk about her career. Addison Girl Makes Good in Nashville. So we're excited to talk with her on tomorrow's program. Friday, we'll be talking with Debbie Shannon. She is running for legislature in the district that encompasses Irwin. She is running on the Democrat ticket. We'll have her opponent next week, and I'll let you know when that's set in stone. So there you go. So that's how we'll wrap up the week today. It's just you and me, pal. So keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. A lot to cover in the next hour. What was your thoughts on Pam Bondi's contentious Senate hearing? We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
This is a Sue the Collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
We've had many wonderful memories as a family. Dropping Shelly off at school, I prayed he wouldn't get stuffed in a gym bag. Missy might have been the one in Little League.
I'm asking the Lord to watch over my little girl.
Well, while you're at it, ask him for a win. I got money on this.
But Georgie is the one who threw us the real curveball.
I got a girl pregnant.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? We may not be perfect, but to me, we have the perfect family.
And welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We've got some viewer comments to get to. Then we're going to talk about Pam Bondi. Got a couple of New York updates. The government shutdown. Busy news morning, so thank you for joining us. Mark writes in, I watched a clip about tariffs. It was very informative as how certain countries are putting labels on their packages saying they're from a countries with a lower tariff trying to beat the system. Interesting. I don't know anything about that, but that'd be interesting to find out about. Thank you, Mark. Ken writes in, anyone that believes that the Palestinian Health Ministry's numbers on casualties in Gaza also still believe that COVID came from a wet market. Very true, Ken. But the mainstream media pushes Palestinians' health ministry numbers as if they are factual, pushing the propaganda wing of Hamas, essentially printing the press release from Hamas. And I mentioned this in the 6 o'clock hour, but we always appreciate Karen's quote of the week, and she sent one unofficial one in yesterday, which was quite a treat. And now we have the official quote for this week by the very sensible and intelligent Thomas Sowell, as Karen prefaces this by saying that he was referring to government, but it could also be the situation we are currently dealing with judges. Here's the quote, Thomas Sowell. It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Thomas Sowell, perfect quote. And Karen added her own to it, saying, without accountability, the wrongs committed will not just continue, but will increase in size and number. Thank you, Karen. Always appreciate it. So yesterday, Pam Bondi had a Senate hearing, and whoo, was it exciting. So CNN called it contentious, but they did their takeaways. What did they take away from it? So take it with a grain of salt. You've got an example of CNN is going to make sure that they defend the Democrats, that they demean in some way Pam Bondi. But their takeaways from the hearing, number one, first of all, just to show you how biased, if I could, CNN is. I should have had this up on the screen better, but this is the picture that CNN decides to use of Pam Bondi. All the pictures Pam Bondi takes, and that's how they start off their article. Just something to keep in mind. Optics are important, folks. Bondi's strategy, deflect and attack, according to CNN. Bondi fended off questions on the investigation into accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, National Guard deployments, and investigations into Trump's political enemies, using quick one-liners to deflect and personal attacks to push back against Democrats. As senators pushed her on Trump's connection to Epstein, the Attorney General repeatedly claimed that those same Democrats had connections to another alleged associate of Epstein's, LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman. She also questioned why Democrats hadn't raised concerns about the Epstein investigation before her term, at one point challenging senators by responding, did you ask Merrick Garland any of this over the last 4 years when he sat before you? It's a fair and good question. I would also add, and this is why I think Democrats have latched onto it, Chuck Schumer using it. Chuck Schumer, did you see that Jon Stewart called him a human flat tire? It's kind of appropriate. But Chuck Schumer recently tried to use it. He's behind the 8 ball. He doesn't have it anymore. I can't remember who said it yesterday, but he's an aging athlete that's just trying to stay relevant, still trying to get playing time, and he just doesn't have it. But he had mentioned Epstein, thinking that was some brilliant connection. with the government shutdown. But if they thought this could have hurt Trump, think of all the Russia investigations. Think of what we now learn about Jack Smith, wiretapping senators and a congressman. All these things that they did to try to destroy Trump. But they were quiet this whole time about Jeffrey Epstein, never asking Merrick Garland, never trying to do anything, because they know there's nothing there. But they'll continue to push it because they think it's a winning issue. Continuing. When Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois pushed Bondi on the legal rationale for sending National Guard troops to Durbin State against the governor's wishes, the Attorney General shot back, quote, "I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump." Oh, and I love this. They don't know how to handle Richard Blumenthal. We've mentioned this on the program in the past. Richard Blumenthal, and I know Limbaugh used to say it a lot, he misled about his time in the service. He would say that he was in Vietnam when he never actually was in Vietnam. He was in, I can't remember the exact branch he was in. I'll have that in just a second. She attacked several other Democrats personally. When Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal questioned Bondi over her connections to a law firm involved in a merger scrutinized by the Justice Department, Bondi went after Blumenthal for, quote, for decade-old allegations he lied about military service in Vietnam. So tried to kind of mislead their viewer there. Decade-old allegations. Well, was there substance there or not? She said, "Senator Blumenthal, I cannot believe that you would accuse me of impropriety when you lied about your military service. How dare you? I'm a career prosecutor. Don't ever challenge my integrity." We're going to talk a little bit more about Richard Blumenthal. I don't want to drop that. In response to questions from Democrat Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii about the closing of an investigation into Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, reportedly taking $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents last year, Bondi said that no credible evidence of wrongdoing was found and then shot back with a non sequitur. Quote, "You were also on video outside the White House protesting with a group where Antifa members were. Does that mean you're a member of Antifa?" In less contentious exchange, the Attorney General responded to questions by criticizing Democrats for not voting to end the government shutdown. "The personal issues that I'm having right now is that all my agents, all my lawyers are working without a paycheck because your party voted to shut the federal government down," Bondi said. In one exchange with Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, where they accused Emily Bove of prosecutorial misconduct during his brief stint as Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General, Bondi stopped him with a rejoinder. "To correct you for one moment, that would be the Honorable Judge Emily J. Bove III to you." So that was number one takeaway, her aggressiveness. Number two was Democrats press Bondi on Trump's DOJ influence. Bondi was pressed about a social media post Trump made directly urging Bondi, telling her we can no longer delay. You know all about that. It was with Comey. Bondi replied, "Trump is the most transparent president in American history, and I don't think he has said anything he hasn't said for years." Blumenthal displayed a photo of Bondi having dinner at the White House with Trump the night before Comey was indicted. She disputed his suggestion it was a small dinner, but would engage on what she had discussed with the president, but would not engage. "I'm not going to discuss any conversations I have or have not had with the President of the United States." All right, the third takeaway, Republicans point to phone records as evidence of Biden DOJ weaponization. Only CNN and the mainstream media could twist it in that way. So you have evidence of the DOJ weaponization. They tried to downplay it by saying only Republicans believe in that. Several Republican senators pointed to the release of documents the night before Tuesday's hearing that showed the phone records of 8 Republican senators and a House lawmaker that were obtained as part of the special counsel investigation into Trump and 2020 election interference. Bondi called the disclosure a betrayal of public trust. They are playing politics with law enforcement powers and will go down as a historical betrayal of public trust. This is the kind of conduct that shatters the American people's faith in our law enforcement. All right, I don't want to go through all of these because we've had enough of the CNN's take on it. But finally, Republicans and Bondi defend the Comey prosecution. That was their other big takeaway. Graham said, "Why are we looking at Comey? Give me a break. Why are we looking at Comey? Because he ran an FBI and personally knew about this information and let it slide." Okay. Now, as I mentioned, Pam Bondi accused Richard Blumenthal about lying about his military record. He would say throughout his career numerous times that he was in Vietnam, and then when he got called on it, he said he misspoke a few times. So, Blumenthal has previously said he, quote, misspoke about serving in Vietnam, saying in 2010 that some of his past remarks were inaccurate, and that was only because he got called on this. I remember Limbaugh and others bringing it up at the time because, this was, I know it was 2010, but you're at a time that it wasn't as prevalent to have, cameras on all times on your phones and these type of things. It's something he thought he could get away with. So you go to the right crowd, you say you're in Vietnam, get you some votes. He said, on a few occasions I have misspoke about my service. I regret that and take full responsibility. He described those remarks as absolutely unintentional and said the mistake occurred only a few times out of hundreds of speeches he has given. He said he remains proud of his service in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Unlike many of my peers, I chose to join the military and serve my country. I will not allow anyone to take a few misplaced words and impugn my record of service. We see this as a kind of a what's the term I'm looking for? Well, there's a history of this. You've got Blumenthal, you have Tim Walz, how soon we forget, the man that ran for vice president with Kamala Harris, having a history of that as well. So anyway, just interesting. Now Trump is calling for an investigation into Blumenthal over the allegations he lied about military service after that back and forth. Referencing decade-old allegations that Blumenthal lied. Yep, it's from CNN again, about his military service. So referencing decade-old allegations that Blumenthal, quote-unquote, lied. They put that decades-old allegations so they try to discredit it. You would never see this same deference given to a Republican, but I'll continue. Trump said in his post, this guy shouldn't be in the U.S. Senate. It should be investigated and justice should be sought. Shortly after Blumenthal responded to Trump's claims, telling CNN's Caitlin Collins on the source that the allegations are completely deceptive and distorted. This allegations of 15 years ago has been really rejected by the voters of Connecticut 3 times, overwhelmingly re-electing me. Well, of course, he stopped doing it for 15 years because he got caught red-handed. I served in the reserves, and I referred to my service in Vietnam on a handful, just a couple of occasions, rather than during Vietnam. Blumenthal admitted in a 2010 New York Times story to misrepresenting his military service after saying that it had been in Vietnam. Blumenthal served in the Marine Reserve in Washington, and he was not deployed to Vietnam. So he would say it on a regular basis that he served in Vietnam. Now, how do you make that mistake? Saying you served in Vietnam is not just a misspeak or an error. I just confused in Vietnam to during Vietnam. But you want our full confidence in being a senator. And of course, it's CNN, so they have to make sure that they have the Trump did not serve in the military and received several deferments during the Vietnam War. So I don't know if there'll be an investigation. Just something that I think is extremely frustrating. Someone trying to make political hay, score political points by suggesting they were in Vietnam, and then when they get called out on it, walk it back and say, oh, I meant during Vietnam. I didn't mean in, and then, of course, ignore it and still have a political career after it. Now, Bondi, not pulling any punches, but Ty Cobb, who they always try to present as almost a Trump supporter because he was in the Trump administration for he's a special counsel for the White House for a very small bit. But he was on CNN's Out Front, Ty Cobb. They asked him about the testimony of Pam Bondi before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Cobb said, I think we saw today from the Attorney General how low the representatives of the Department of Justice are willing to go. Well, Aaron Burnett asked, what did you make of Pam Bondi today? The point of her presentation clearly was to show disgust and disregard, right? That is what she wanted to convey. That is what she conveyed. Have you seen anything like that before? Never, said Ty Cobb. I think today she achieved one thing. She knocked John Mitchell off the perch of reprehensible attorney generals as number one, despite his guilty plea and time in jail. She tried to mislead the MAGA faithful with regard to Epstein by saying, well, try to get the grand jury minutes, knowing that there was nothing in the grand jury minutes that would shed any light on this. It is just all a deception game. This is basically designed to affect the credibility of various institutions, the Justice Department, the Congress today. The lack of respect that's being shown for the institutions that have driven America to the leadership of the world is shocking. But it is right out of the authoritarian playbook. Handbook. Oh, he used handbook. Oh, very different. Good. Way to make it your own, Ty Cobb. The authoritarian handbook. Sometimes it's playbook. Make sure you get that line in there and you get extra credit. Appreciate it. Bondi, most reprehensible attorney general in U.S. history, according to Ty Cobb. All right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Read some of your comments when we return. Stay with us.
I'm Marion Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today. But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
In 1954, a loaf of bread was 15 cents, a gallon of gas was 22 cents, and Cutler's Carpet and Flooring opened as a little store with a big red door. For 72 years, we've been your go-to floor covering store. With that kind of longevity, you know we have great service, best selection, best prices, and best installation. Celebrate our 72nd birthday where you get the presents. We've lowered prices on carpet, LVT, hardwood, ceramic tile, and do the home improvements you've been considering. Get your home ready for the holidays with Cutler's 72nd birthday sale. Cutler's, we have a buddy in the flooring business.
Dear Friday, let's put good times in gear. We've got power tailgates to power game days and a trailer backup guide that's the champ of the ramp. Heck, we might even cancel Monday. Toyota Trucks.
Right now, lease a new Tacoma for just $269 a month or get 2.99% APR financing for a full 72 months on a new Tundra. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota.
Beautiful view of historic Market Street, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. First up, I watched a lot of Democrats refuse to answer her questions. Most of what they ask could not be answered because of investigations that would have been compromised if she answered. But that's what they wanted. Yes, of course they wanted her to kind of give that I can't give a response type thing. You're right. Comment from a different viewer. It's such garbage. So if you are over 50, your lived experiences are largely different than what they want us to believe is normal today. So if this group is triggered, and I hate that word, and I think it should be eliminated completely. Me and you agree. Why doesn't it work both ways? Well, it's the hypocrisy, right? Yeah, so if someone else can be triggered, this is in reference to the young man that was wearing a MAGA hat at a Kirk kind of memorial section of their program. Charlie Kirk, he was talking about him at the student government meeting. And the teacher took him aside and said, you could trigger others. So that's the most, because remember, this is where it gets really scary. If you trigger somebody, that might mean you intentionally meant to, quote unquote, offend them. It may mean that you unintentionally, you said something, you wore a hat, whatever, triggered them. Now, take it a step further. If they're triggered, your words hurt them. Your words were no different than me punching you. This is in their mind. So if I say something, even unintentionally, that offended you, that's akin to me punching you. Because words can be akin to violence. That's what the left tells us. So then they have a right, because you got, quote unquote, violent with them through your words, they have the right to then get physically violent with you. That is the bar that they have set. So your words are akin to violence, meaning that they can then attack you with violence. Yes, trigger is used too often. Can't I be triggered by what they're forcing down my throat? This viewer continues. Such a double standard and a waste of precious time and energy. You're absolutely right. It's a one-way street, though. Only the left can be triggered. Only they can be offended. Only they can be the most aggrieved. And you see it in protests. You see it in their slogans. Oh, one last thing. Well, no, we already mentioned this. The quote to Dick Durbin. As you shut down the government, you're sitting here. Our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on their way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will. And that's exactly what we saw. The Texas National Guard deployed 200 troops to Illinois for federal protection missions amid these protests. The Texas National Guard troop arrived yesterday to protect federal personnel and property amid anti-immigration protests. The Pentagon official said 200 guardsmen were mobilized for an initial 60-day period. Troops arrived in Illinois in support of the Federal Protection Mission to protect federal functions, personnel, and property. About a dozen people have been arrested near an ICE facility in Broadview, where anti-immigration crowds have been gathering for days. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced on Saturday that additional special operation personnel would be deployed to Illinois after federal agents were rammed and boxed by 10 cars. Texas Governor Greg Abbott posted on X, noting service members are on the ground and ready to go. They are putting America first by ensuring that the federal government can safely enforce federal law. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson reiterated yesterday he believes the deployment is illegal, unconstitutional, dangerous, and wrong. And then we talked about the ICE-free zones that he created, where he said that if ICE goes into these ICE-free zones, that they have committed a crime and they should be punished for it, because anybody who commits a crime should be punished for it. That is apparently with an asterisk next to it, except for illegal immigrants or those attacking federal agents. I don't know. The hypocrisy, much like that viewer was talking about with the word triggered, very much shows the hypocrisy of those that are anti-Trump in many instances. By the way, okay, we're going to talk about the government shutdown here in just a moment. But just quickly, before we go to another break, the Department of Homeland Security accused Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker of serving the American public, quote, a smorgasbord of lies, as it released a list that it says debunks his claims about federal law enforcement operations in Chicago, saying, quote, our message to J.B. Pritzker, get out of your mansion and see Chicago. If J.B. Pritzker actually walked the streets of his own city, he would see domestic terrorists and violent rioters attacking police officers and the scourge of violent crimes as a direct result of his own policies. Of course, we know he would never walk down the street unprotected in Chicago. The DHS added that it is setting the record straight about Pritzker's lies and defending the brave men and women of Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Customs and Border Protection from his smears and slander. Again, the Democrat Party likes to side, apparently, with what we see in the streets, because it's always never mind what you see and what you feel, just believe our statistics or believe this quote or whatever. So in this case, they're siding with the violent criminals. It's, yeah. He must think it's a winning message as he wants to run for president. DHS said the reality is that this is neither unconstitutional nor an invasion, because that's what Pritzker had called it. President Trump has the authority, under the Constitution to deploy troops wherever they're stationed, to defend federal facilities from attacks. Whether it's the ICE facility in Broadview or the courthouse in Portland, we will defend federal property wherever they are under siege. Fair enough. Law enforcement conducted a targeted operation at an apartment building in the South Shore community of Chicago. The operation, conducted by the CBP, the FBI, and the ATF, resulted in the arrest of 37 illegal aliens from such countries as Venezuela, Mexico, Colombia, and Nigeria. Among them were Trey de Aruga gang members and violent criminals. DHS has routinely debunked the absurd claim that DHS is targeting U.S. citizens during ICE operations. ICE does not arrest or deport U.S. citizens. Any U.S. citizen arrested are because of obstructing or assaulting law enforcement. There you are. All right, we got to take a short break. When we return, the government shutdown continues. What do you think? we ask again, has it affected your life whatsoever? We do have a couple other things we may get to. I want to mention a couple updates on New York, because we had mentioned the anti-Semitic protests in New York City, and then Zohran Mamdani looks to be potentially New York's next mayor, attacking Netanyahu and Israel on the 2-year anniversary of October 7th terrorist attack. Does not seem like a wise decision. Seems very inappropriate, but that nonetheless is what he did. But we got to take a break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
This isn't your father's library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine riddles, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
Cold Brook Creek was once a thriving village, swallowed by silence and shadow. The town turned on a woman named Granny J. Hatchett. So that night the townsfolk went into her cabin. They tied her to the old tree, and before she was burned, she said,
"You all will vanish like smoke, and when you return, you'll wear your sins on your skin."
Now, each October, the cursed souls return to seek vengeance.
But that's just a story, right, John? John, did you hear that?
Liberty and me customized my car insurance, so I only pay for what I need. What a great day. What an okay day. What a messed up.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You're what Big Fox. WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. A quick reminder, and thank you to everybody who's already participated in this. We've got the upcoming Walk to End Alzheimer's. And if you would be so kind to make a donation, if you would like, we have a small team going for the walk on Saturday at Eldridge Park. And we're trying to make sure we raise as much as possible and spread the word. So that is the website there on the bottom of the screen, or in the middle of the screen. And you can donate to our team. You can look at the individual teammates, or you can, I think you can just vote as the overall team, or donate for the overall team. So there's that announcement. Also, I mentioned I'll keep that up because you may be wanting to write it down at this point. I also wanted to mention, I'm going to sneeze. Tomorrow on the program from Addison native, Kat Flint will be our guest. So spread the word. She is in Nashville. She's got a new EP that'll be coming out soon. We're really excited to have her on the program and learn about her career in country music. And then on Friday, we'll be talking with Debbie Shannon. She is running for legislature, Steuben County Legislature, in the Irwin District. So she'll be on the program on Friday. There we go. Okay, let's get right back to it. This is a major takeaway that I don't think a lot of people have been paying attention to when we talk about the government shutdown. But Senate Republicans have confirmed a staggering amount of Donald Trump's nominees as the government shutdown continues. Lawmakers voted along party lines to confirm the batch of, get this, 107 of Trump's nominees, a move that whittled down the remaining pending nominees on the Senate's calendar to double digits. It also came as the upper chamber was deadlocked in the midst of a government shutdown, during which floor votes have largely been dedicated to trying to reopen the government. The slate of confirmed nominees include many of Trump's top allies and former candidates that he handpicked to run in previous elections. The most notable, and now current, where is it here? Current, I forget what it was. U.S. Ambassador to the Bahamas, friend of Frankly Speaking. He was on the program once. None other than former XFL star Herschel Walker is now going to be the U.S. Ambassador to the Bahamas, so congratulations to Herschel Walker. Sergio Gore, a top advisor to Trump, who was picked to be the U.S. Ambassador to India. He's now through. Other posts confirmed, including a wave of senior administrative officials, several prosecutors, and the reappointment of Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Paul Atkins to a seat on the commission until 2031. The vote also marked the second time the Senate Republicans have deployed the new rule change surrounding confirmations since going nuclear on Senate rules last month. Republicans opted to change confirmation rules to allow a simple majority of votes to advance large swaths of nominees in response to Chuck Schumer and his caucus blockade of Trump's picks that lasted nearly 9 months into his presidency. Chuck Schumer. They're mad at him because he's not accomplishing anything for their resistance side. So there you go. A big one. Senate Republicans previously had confirmed 48 of Trump's picks, but yesterday confirming more than 100 Trump nominees. And again, a big congratulations to our friend Herschel Walker. Okay. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries rejected a one-year extension of Obamacare subsidies, again proving that they want to stay in this government shutdown, I suppose. The Hill reported that while Representative Jen Kiggins is advocating for legislation that would extend enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits until the end of 2026, Jeffries criticized Republicans for thinking, quote, Democrats are going to go along with a one-year extension. I know they're mentioning the Republican Jen Kiggins, but Tom Suozzi, Representative Suozzi, a Democrat from here in New York, he was on this bill too. Keep that in mind. So it was a bipartisan piece of legislation. Representative Jen Kiggins is pushing legislation to extend Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits, which expire on January 1st through the end of 2026. The proposal has bipartisan support, and some political observers view it as a launching pad for securing a deal to reopen the government. Jeffries, though, has other ideas, saying a one-year extension is a non-starter. He emphasized that President Trump and Republicans had adopted a permanent extension of tax cuts for the country's wealthiest people earlier in the year. With that in mind, he's demanding a similar permanent extension of the enhanced ACA subsidies, which overwhelmingly help working-class people. Quote, what world are these MAGA extremists living in right now to think that Democrats are going to go along with a one-year extension from a group of people, meaning the Republicans, who just permanently extended massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors? Did I see somewhere that Marjorie Taylor Greene has kind of taken a different tact on the government shutdown than most? Just kind of interesting. I thought I could find it here quickly, that she seems to be going a little bit in a different direction. Oh, okay. So I see this now that I'm here looking for it. J.B. Pritzker, because remember, we're taking a step back from the shutdown for just a moment. Sorry, bear with me. J.B. Pritzker really, really wants to be the face of the resistance because he wants to be president. So he has said things that I would argue are borderline pushing violent rhetoric against the president in the past. He was one of the first kind of nasty comments about Trump, and it got him a lot of attention. So now he's, I guess, double, tripling down. He says President Trump is deploying troops to Chicago due to dementia and obsessive fixations. Now, does this work in your mind when you have a media that constantly pushes conspiracy theories about Trump's health and saying that he's in poor health, and then you have Caitlin Collins from CNN having to admit that he never sleeps and he's so busy when he's on these trips that reporters don't want to be given that duty because they have to be up way too many hours because he's just that hard of a worker. But is it hard to take people like this seriously when for 4 years they lied to our face and said President Biden was healthy? And now they see a winning message in saying, oh, well, you know how you guys were right about Biden's health? Well, we're not right about Trump, but we're going to use your same talking points. We're going to try to attack him in the way that you rightfully attacked Biden. It's so disingenuous. It's so hypocritical. It makes him look rather pathetic. But J.B. Pritzker saying, this is a man who's suffering dementia. This is a man who has something stuck in his head. He can't get it out of his head. He doesn't read. He doesn't know anything that's up to date. It's just something in the recesses of his brain that is effectuating to have him call out these cities. And then, unfortunately, he has the power of the military, the power of the federal government to do his bidding, and that's what he's doing. So he sees this as being very liked and a way to receive even more donations from the kind of the far left, which is becoming more of the norm in the Democrat Party, the resistance part of the party. So here's a man, and I know a lot of has been said about J.B. Pritzker's health due to weight and things like that. But I know he's heir to a lot of money, that he received a lot of money from his family, which is normally very disliked by the Democrat Party. We know that he's mega rich because of his family, kind of born with a silver spoon. Is he a doctor? Was that where his background is? To, I guess, just diagnose Trump with dementia? During the interview, Pritzker, who has been one of Trump's harshest critics and is a potential 2028 presidential Democrat candidate, said the courts will play an integral role in challenging Trump's efforts in Illinois and across the nation. We are not going to war between the state of Illinois and the federal government, not taking up arms against the federal government, but we are monitoring everything they're doing and using the monitoring to win in court. So J.B. Pritzker, for whatever reason, I know that got a tangent there, but that's what the breaking story coming out on Drudge Report, because Drudge Report always looking for an excuse to attack Trump as well for whatever reason. We've got a couple other things we've got to get to. I know I got to take a break. Stay with us. We are running late this morning. A couple other things about the shutdown. A big New York story just crossing my desk that we'll have to get to. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
This is a Collector Consumer Alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Young's is the leading tire dealer and auto repair shop in the area. Young's Tires has been serving the area for over 50 years. Trust the team at Young's Tires and Horseheads to keep you and your family safe on the road. From pumpkin patches to scenic views, let Michelin Tires guide you to a world of cozy destinations. Get up to $60 via reward card or virtual prepaid card on purchase of 4 or more new Michelin passenger or light truck tires totaling $900 or more. Offer valid 8/28/2025 through 9/23/2025.
Time to get clean!
Yes, but that liquid detergent leaves you covered in harsh chemical residue. Not Earth Breeze. Just one sheet gives you a powerful clean.
Switch now at earthbreeze.com.
This is Jim, Famous Brands. We are ready for fall and loaded with all of your favorite brands. Great new deals are arriving every week. We have the largest selection of clothing and footwear in the Finger Lakes, all at below retail prices. Famous Brands, downtown, Watkins Glen, where you're always looking good for less.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. A couple of viewer comments. Trump is funding the WIC program, Women, Infant, and Children program, with tariff money. Yes, I saw that this morning. Thank you. I think that might be in my stack right here. So I do appreciate that. Coming from a different viewer, Pritzker and the rest of the delirious Democrats are projecting their own actions against Trump again. Thank you. Yes. Do you get this? Makes me nervous. I'm going to talk about the New York State issue in just a second. CNN says White House draws out mass federal firings timeline as the GOP grows squeamish in funding fight. Is this do you think the GOP is growing squeamish? I know in the past they would quickly cave and give in to 100% of Democrats' demands, and then it would be seen as compromising, even though the media would still attack them. I don't know. I hope they're not getting squeamish, because then what is this all? Then it's a huge loss. Then they will hang every issue around their neck. But they're talking about layoffs. Trump has said it's going to come in a few days, 3, 4. That's changed. But weary lawmakers warn against losing the high ground if he lays people off. I don't know. Maybe they are getting wishy-washy. Okay, we can... Oh, he also... And this made a lot of people mad yesterday, I saw it. Trump threatens no back pay for shut-down, furloughed workers. It really depends on who we're talking about, but for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way. Oh, boy. A lot of people outraged at that. Now, okay. No, 2 more things. Okay, sorry. We do have a big New York State issue update that you're going to want to hear in just a moment. But 2 last things on the shutdown. Liz Peek says the Schumer shutdown could be Trump's best chance to drain the swamp. After all, Team Trump has been encouraging the downsizing of federal agencies since it took office just 8 days after the president was inaugurated. The Office of Personnel Management sent an email inviting almost the entire federal workforce to resign. As of today, some 150,000 federal employees have taken advantage of that offer. Most will be leaving their positions in coming weeks. Democrats are horrified at the threat of layoffs and at any attempt to shrink the government's workforce. For them, every federal job is sacred, even as our debt spirals out of control. So this boils down to, over time, the federal government has morphed into a gigantic stew of special interest bureaucrats or bureaus and agencies promoted by politicians who need or wanted a favor, often a favor for their home state in return for a crucial vote. That's politics, but when there is never a culling of such activities, the stew becomes rancid, turning it into an ungovernable mass. That's where we are now. The shutdown has sent even about 1/3 of White House staffers home. The good news is that DOJ employees remain on the job and they have work to do. But Jasmine Crockett has a different take on all this. Crockett was on MSNBC's All In. Jasmine Crockett, of course, a rising star in the Democrat Party, saying, I just talked to one of my Republican colleagues about 30 minutes ago because I was trying to find out if we were actually going to go back into session next week. As my staff is trying to plan what's going on. But I could tell you, we actually discussed that Marjorie was flipping on this. That means Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because it seems like everything that is important, this child ain't read the bill and has no idea of what's going on. I don't understand why Georgia keeps sending her to D.C., but this is not the first time that she wasn't quite clear on what damage it was that her party was ushering in. But listen, I will take her seeing the light at any point in time. Marjorie Taylor Greene, it has been a really weird kind of scenario where she has voted a couple times on things and then said later, like, oh my goodness, this is bad. But she seems to, I don't know, it could be wishful thinking. But it does seem as if she is deflecting on the health care and kind of ruining that unity, hurting the Republican Party's message. Now, I know we have some Marjorie Taylor Greene fans out there, so feel free to correct me or to yell at me or whatever you want to. But it does seem like Greene has been critical now after something she voted on. It's strange how she does that. But anyway, Jasmine Crockett says, I think that the Democrats, again, are on the right side of history. Every single time the Republicans have tried to, in some way, get rid of Affordable Care Act or Obamacare or the marketplace, it has really backfired in the most bipartisan way. And so now the American people are paying attention, and they understand why this standoff is taking place. I'm pretty confident that the American people are standing with the Democrats as it relates to what it is that we're fighting for at this moment. Again, explain to me how fighting a clean continuing resolution, all you had to do is go for November 21st. Then you can have that conversation this whole time, but instead shut down the government for partisan political reasons. But we got to take a short break. Big story coming out of New York when we return. Not New York City, but the whole state of New York. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
This isn't your father's library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
Lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
Wrongful death. After a motor vehicle crash, the words say it all, but do not begin to capture the anguish, the suffering, and the loss. It's hard not to be emotional during a time like that. But that's exactly the time when you need someone to be clear-headed, eyes open, and know exactly what has to be done to protect survivors and to get some justice. That someone will be me, William Mattar, when you call 444-4444.
Paul's newest show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's football for everyone.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are, here in a second, we are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Sorry, I got so many, my email's acting strange, or I mean the text line is acting strange. So we will get to these in just a second. I did get one in. Where was it? Oh, here we go. Mark writes in, you used to have a 1 hour show and there was not enough time. Then you went to 2 hours. It looks like you need 3 hours. No kidding. We still have a lot to cover. This is a big one, folks. Thank you, by the way, Mark. This is a big one. Just breaking early this morning, right as we went on the air. I'm glad that we had a chance to see it this morning. New York Governor Kathy Hochul retains just a 5 percentage point lead against Elise Stefanik. Now you're going to say, why is this big news, Frank? That means Elise Stefanik's down. That's a tight race, folks. That means Hochul is extremely vulnerable. Remember, Stefanik hasn't even declared that she's running yet. So to be within 5 points, if you think about it, Lee Zeldin declared in April of the off year. So he had a year and a half, essentially, to run for governor. And when he ended at the end of the day, when the election was over, I think he lost by 6 percentage points. I could be wrong about that, but right in the same margin. That's after running that whole time. Elise Stefanik, who's a great campaigner, great fundraiser, great public speaker, she hasn't even started yet, and she's closer than Lee Zeldin when he finished. That is huge. Stefanik trails behind Hochul 48-43 on an initial ballot, but narrowly beats the incumbent Democrat 46.4% to 45.9% when voters leaning toward voting in the 2026 race hear about the governor endorsing Zohran Mamdani, according to the poll. So once statewide, they realize, oh, wow, she endorsed the socialist candidate for mayor. Stefanik actually beats her. Tight, but beats her. If Mamdani wins, up to 47% of independent voters also said they'd be less likely to vote for Hochul or other Democrats up and down the ballot in the midterms. The survey paid, now keep in mind, this is kind of internal polling from Stefanik's team, okay? Because remember, she's still thinking whether or not she is going to run. She said she is going to declare in November after looking at the local elections. But you gotta realize there's something important about this. That when a candidate pays, a potential candidate in this scenario, this is a super PAC that supports Stefanik, you don't pay to get, you want to see what the actual numbers are before you declare. It's not to use as a PR tactic. But it showed likely gubernatorial voters also downgrade Hochul for her record on supporting bail reform and other cost of living concerns. Hochul's job performance rating is also underwater, 56-39, and at least half of the likely voters polled strongly disapprove of the Democrat. Pollster Landon Wall of the firm Grey House said his survey of 1,250 likely midterm voters reveal Hochul is in a deeply vulnerable position. Quote, Kathy Hochul's coalition is historically fragile. Soft support from her own voters, significant growing appetite for change, and her endorsement of politically toxic Zohran Mamdani collapses support among independents. And listen, it goes back to the fact that Governor Hochul was never even supposed to be a governor. Cuomo picked her for kind of her weakness, if you will. And here we are. She's governor. It's not as if she's hugely popular. Zeldin was nipping at her heels. They continued at the poll firm. The data overwhelmingly points to unprecedented vulnerability for an incumbent New York Democrat governor and a race that Republicans can win. In a Democrat primary against Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, Hochul received only 43% support from New Yorkers, with 14% backing Delgado, 15% going for someone else, and 28% undecided. Stefanik, who will formally enter the governor's race after the November midterm election, well, is expected to anyway, said in a statement, the data is clear that Kathy Hochul, the worst governor in America, is a deeply embattled and historically unpopular failed governor who is struggling to even gain support from her own party. This is in a statement from Elise Stefanik. It is now crystal clear why Kathy Hochul bent the knee to the communist anti-Semite running for mayor of New York City, because she desperately needed to shore up her own party. Yeah, I think she was scared of a potential primary. Kathy Hochul has destroyed New York State, creating an affordability crisis with the highest taxes in the nation and the highest energy, utility, rent, and grocery bills. Kathy Hochul's single-party Democrat rule affordability crisis, coupled with a crime crisis from failed bail reform, combined with the sanctuary state policies costing, putting criminals and illegals first and New Yorkers last, is a political disaster for Hochul. Alex DeGrassi, a Stefanik campaign advisor, noted that the devastating poll for Hochul comes before the New York Congresswoman has even launched, saying what is truly remarkable about the poll is that this is before Elise has even formally announced her campaign. There's a reason why Kathy is running scared. So big news coming out there. I know a lot of people are going to say, why doesn't she declare already? We've been down that road. Well, it's mid-October. Well, yeah, almost mid-October. So I guess now we just patiently wait a month. They're saying that Adams dropping out was not a game changer for Cuomo. Didn't really make much of a difference. Now, Cuomo had said it's a totally different campaign. It doesn't really seem to have made much of a dent, but that should come as no surprise because Adams was polling fourth behind Sliwa. So it was Mamdani, Cuomo, Sliwa, and Adams. So you didn't expect a lot, but, well, we'll talk more about this when we come back. We'll breeze through some things, get your last-minute comments in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
In the heart of nature, collisions happen when you least expect them. Deer hits can turn a tranquil drive into a chaotic moment. When the unexpected happens, turn to Scott's Collision. At Scott's Collision, we understand the frustration of unexpected encounters with wildlife. From dents to more extensive damage, we've got you covered. When nature and your vehicle collide, trust Scott's Collision to bring it back to life.
Time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Haley Livingston, Big.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. Rick writes in this morning, if I can grab it here. There we go. Well, a Senate committee is grilling Attorney General Pam Bondi about a whole pile of things. Looks like they nailed her on a couple of things, like when Tom Homan took $50K in a paper bag. What happened to the money? She didn't have any answer that she could vocalize. But like anything these committees do, nothing will come out of it. Or they won't pin anybody to it if something is uncovered. Waste of time. Trump is meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, saying how great Canada is after sticking them with monster tariffs. I don't think the Canadian leader is there because he's happy with Trump. Then he was bashing Democrats as usual. Does that mean half the people that he leads are losers? Great leadership. Oh, and Representative Crockett has a low IQ. That's what the wizard said while he was busy lying at his press conference. Comment, thank you, Rick. Comment from a different viewer. Just a thought. If Mamdani wins, I think New York City will become the laughing stock of the nation. I think and Hochul should keep this in mind, a lot of damage can be done from January when he's sworn in until November when she's up for re-election. And don't think for a moment, at least Stefanik is not going to pin her to the fact that she endorsed Mamdani. Look how much damage Bill de Blasio did. And he's radical. He was a socialist too, but some of the things proposed by Mamdani may even make de Blasio blush, though de Blasio ultimately, of course, endorsing him. Speaking of endorsements, Rudy Giuliani endorsed Curtis Sliwa for mayor, dealing a blow to Andrew Cuomo. Here's my choice, 100% Curtis Sliwa, Giuliani said on a podcast. Giuliani said Cuomo ran a terrible campaign in the primary and lost to a 33-year-old. Well, I even put the age aside, he did just really run a horrible campaign. And Cuomo's starting to become the kind of the face of the old guard, if you will, of Democrats, where he is kind of the norm that people on the left and the Democrat Party are trying to get away from. They want the Mamdanis, they want the AOCs, they want the kind of the fresh blood with their radical ideas, where they don't want the old guard, the norm of the Governor Cuomo's. Okay, so Mamdani did accuse Netanyahu and Israel of launching a genocidal war on the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel. He accused, again, blame Israel first crowd, he blamed Israel and Netanyahu for launching a, quote, genocidal war in Gaza. And he argued the United States has been complicit through it all. The left-wing Democrat nominee found some space to condemn Hamas for carrying out a horrific war crime that killed 1,200 Israelis and said he prays for the return of hostages still held in Palestine. All right. That's on the 2-year anniversary. He would have fit right in with the protesters in the street yesterday, the anti-Israel protesters. Even the New York Daily News, the far-left New York Daily News says Mamdani's stance on Israel isn't an attack on Netanyahu. It's an anti-Semitic affront to Jews. That's coming from the Daily News. Mamdani can repeat as much as he wants that Israel is not part of his mayoral campaign, but it is an important part of his politics. As New Yorkers mark the October 7th atrocity, the largest mass slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust, they should remember where Mamdani stands. All right, before we go, last comment. Hochul has nothing to worry about. She has Frankie Focus on her side. Yes, the mascot to, for some reason, keep kids focused and away from their cell phones, but geared towards an age group that isn't quite as addicted to their phones as the teenagers in the high school. Still something very weird about that. We haven't heard as much about Frankie Focus, have we? Kind of miss him being around. I think that does it for us today. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the waves. Tomorrow on the program, we'll be talking with Kat Flint. Kat Flint is currently in Nashville, making her way in the country music scene. And guess where she's from? Addison, New York, right down the road. So she's got a new EP coming down soon. And one of their singles on the EP, Addison. So we're going to talk to her all about that on tomorrow's broadcast. Friday, Debbie Shannon, who's running for legislature in the district that encompasses Irwin. So any questions for either of our guests, let us know. That number is 24/7 on the bottom of the screen. Reach out at any time. Have a great day, everyone. This is Ben, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I look forward to it already.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
Fall is in the air, and there's no better place to celebrate than Bradley Farms. Bring the whole family for games. Get lost in our giant cornfield maze. Hop on a scenic hayride. Photo ops and fall memories you'll never forget. Located at 1543 Maple Avenue in Elmira, New York. And pick the perfect pumpkin from our patch. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Come on out to Bradley Farms, where fall fun takes root.